Hello, my name's Scott Davis, and welcome to New World Birth. This is the care and feeding of a New World Age report for the Gregorian date of January 11th of 2015 and one Chuen, or monkey in the Mayan Zolkin calendar, with Mars entering Pisces, the Sun entering Aquarius, followed by the Aquarius New Moon and Mercury turning retrograde. January 11th is one Chuen, or monkey. It carries the themes of new beginnings, good fortune, innocent curiosity leading to artistic expression, mischief similar to coyote spirit and the trickster gods of many native traditions, generosity, the jack of all trades, weaving the threads of time, craftsmanship, and wisdom keeping. And one monkey is the 131st day of the 260-day Zolkin calendar, marking the beginning of the second half of the round. And the calendar starts with crocodile, the primal nurturing energy for beginnings, and in the second half begins with monkey, the artisan who creates something new. But these are really arbitrary points, as many different Mayan groups celebrate different days to begin the Zolkin round, and ultimately it's just that, round like a circle, having no beginning or end. And the one monkey trisena is a good 13-day period to be generous with your creativity, wisdom, curiosity, and a time to help others explore new beginnings. In doing so, also discover something new about yourself. Before I get into the daily energy of one Chuen, or monkey, on the 11th, all the planets appear to be moving forward from our vantage point on Earth, except Jupiter, which appears to be retrograde or moving in reverse. And remember that planets do not really move in reverse. This is it's sort of the idea of, like, if you're in a faster moving car on the inner track, it may look like cars on the outer track are moving backwards compared to landmarks in the far distance. So the themes of retrograde planets are review of the past, reevaluate, reminisce, and we can see these themes being played out. Jupiter retrograde in Leo is a review of opportunities, faith, religion, beliefs, and expansion. Leo is leadership, creativity, drama, entertainment, and children. And mostly what I find with Jupiter retrograde, as with any retrograde cycle, there's a review of the past. And with Jupiter, what gets reviewed are missed opportunities. The big change for the one Chuen trisena is Mercury changing directions as it moves retrograde on the 21st and then moves direct on February 11th. So the end of January would be a good time to avoid signing contracts or other legal papers, or making any major purchases, or even taking a new job. And if you could postpone these types of activities, the terms will be much clearer after Mercury is moving direct. But that might seem impossible. So if you can avoid these activities a few days before and after Mercury's changing direction on the 21st, and on February 11th, when the energy is at its most potent, that would be beneficial. Mercury retrogrades force us to slow down, pay attention to our lives by making us focus on the details of our daily experience. When we look at retrograde cycles of any of the personal or inner planets, it provides information about a course correction to our present course. And during this report period, we have Mercury traveling through its first stage of the retrograde process since January 6th. And there are 2 points really to be aware of in looking at the cycle. We look at the point where the planet appears to move backwards, and the point where it appears to move forward again. And so the first stage represents the shadow time of Mercury passing 1 degree of Aquarius, which is the point where it'll eventually begin moving forward again. And the shadow is from that point until Mercury slows down, stops, and begins to move in reverse at 17 degrees of Aquarius. And during the first stage, the shadow stage, we receive information about needing to adjust our direction. The second stage is the actual retrograde stage. And this is a time to watch for events that occur related to information that we received in the first stage. And the third stage begins when the planet begins to be moving forward again from our perspective here on Earth. until it crosses the line where it originally turned retrograde. And during the third stage, we're moving forward with a revision to our previous course. We entered the first stage for Mercury on January 6th, and so from then until the 21st, we are receiving information about an adjustment that needs to be made in our lives. And then Mercury's retrograde from the 21st to the 11th of February. So from 17 degrees Aquarius to 1 degree Aquarius is where it's retrograde. Which is that time when it's retrograde. That's the time when we notice events that shift our thinking. And then from February 11th to March 4th, this is the time when we're in the third stage where we implement the change in direction from the awareness gained through experiencing this process. And I've noticed that Mercury retrogrades repeat every 79 years. So we look for a recurrence of themes from 1936, 1857, and 1778. So we're going to look and see if those were interesting times. 1936 saw radium E become the first radioactive element to be made synthetically. Emperor Hirohito ordered the Japanese army to arrest 123 conspirators in the Tokyo government offices after the Imperial Way faction engineered a failed coup attempt against the Japanese government. The Hoover Dam was completed in the United States. Nazi Germany reoccupied the Rhineland as in a violation of the Treaty of Versailles. Richard Hauptmann, the convicted Lindbergh kidnapping and murderer in 1932, was executed by electrocution in the New Jersey state prison. Tornadoes struck Tupelo, Mississippi, and Gainesville, Georgia, for the fourth and fifth deadliest tornadoes in U.S. history on 1936. The 1936 to 39 Arab revolt in Palestine against the British government and the opposition to Jewish immigration began. Italy annexed Ethiopia, and the Italian East Africa is formed from Italian territories in Eritrea, Ethiopia, and Italian Somaliland. The first flight of Irish airline Aer Lingus takes place. The British luxury liner RMS Queen Elizabeth leaves Southampton on her maiden voyage across the Atlantic. Thousands die, and high temperature records were set during a major heat wave in North America. Margaret Mitchell's epic historical romance Gone with the Wind is first published in the United States in 1936. The Spanish Civil War begins. The 1936 Summer Olympics begin in Berlin, Germany, and mark the first live television coverage of a sports event in world history, with African-American athlete Jesse Owens winning the 100-meter dash in the Berlin Olympics. The first of the Moscow trials begins in the Soviet Union with the start of Joseph Stalin's Great Purge in the Soviet Union. The Rome-Berlin axis is formed, and this is the time of the Great Depression. Franklin Delano Roosevelt is reelected to a second term. The first edition of Life magazine is published, and the anti-Comintern Pact is signed between Germany and Japan. Hitler mandates German boys aged 10 to 18 join the Hitler Youth paramilitary organization. King Edward VIII of the United Kingdom abdicates, and the rise of unions in the United States, which strikes across the country. These are all events related to 1936, and we can see many of them leading up to World War II. 1857 brought France and the United Kingdom to formally declare war on China in the Second Opium War, the largest slave auction in the United States history, dubbed the Weeping Time, with over a 2-day period. Pierce M. Butler sells 436 men, women, children, and infants, all who were kept in stalls meant for race horses at the track in Savannah, Georgia, for weeks beforehand. James Buchanan succeeds Franklin Pierce as the President of the United States. And then in Dred Scott versus Stanford, the Supreme Court of the United States rules that blacks were not citizens and slaves could not sue for freedom, driving the country further towards the American Civil War. An earthquake in Tokyo, Japan, kills over 100,000 people. The end of the Anglo-Persian War, the Indian Rebellion of 1857, with the 3rd Light Cavalry of the British East India Company's army rebels against its British officers, thus beginning a rebellion, and Indian combatants captured Delhi from the East India Company, followed by the siege of Lucknow and the second massacre at Kanpur, and Delhi being recaptured also in 1857 by British forces. There's also the Panic of 1857, which begins with the speculation in the U.S. railroad shares and the collapse on August 24th of the New York City branch of the Ohio Life Insurance and Trust Company, following widespread embezzlement, triggers a financial crisis which extends to Europe, and in which New York banks actually close in October and do not reopen for 2 months until December. 1857 was a time period when Neptune was last in Pisces, as it is currently, which was a time of more compassion for the suffering of slaves in the United States, but also more opposition to that compassion, which has made its way back into the conscious event field with the awareness of police shootings of people of color, also strangulation of people of color, without probable cause for that level of aggression and violence. Yet white people can carry military-type weapons in public without incident. Also, it seems to be being played out these themes of wealth inequality, which if all your income pays for your survival needs, isn't that just another form of enslavement? Of course, here in the United States, we've got millionaire legislators who are voting for corporate interests over their constituent needs. And perhaps this is going to be a time of change, particularly given that we're in the last month of the Year of the Horse, which usually brings about some pretty dramatic changes, which we've seen in the protests against racism and climate change here in the United States. And I've recently been reading that the 1% is becoming fearful of America erupting in a way similar to the French Revolution. 1778, the last year we're going to look at regarding these 79-year cycles of Mercury retrograde, saw the American Revolution continue with the Treaty of Alliance and the Treaty of Amity and Commerce signed by the United States and France, signaling the official French recognition of the new republic with the Battle of Mammoth, the Wyoming Massacre, Louis the 16th of France declaring war on the Kingdom of Great Britain with the first Battle of Ashanti, British and French fleets fighting to a standoff, the French invasion of Dominica, capturing the British fort there before the latter was aware that French had entered the war in the Franco-American alliance. Also on 1778, Captain James Cook, with his ships HMS Resolution and HMS Discovery, explored and mapped the Pacific Northwest coast from North America from Cape Foul Weather in Oregon to the Bering Strait. And in the Hawaiian Islands, Captain Cook becomes the first European to land on Maui. Also, the Continental Congress passed the first budget in the United States, something that it still struggles to do. In 1778, the Continental Army becomes a more organized fighting force, with assistance from European generals coming in training exercises. It's interesting to me, too, that the tactics that we look at that were carried out by the Patriots early in the war would now be acts of terrorism from our modern viewpoint, such as attaching a bomb to the hull of the HMS Eagle or placing cannons on Dorchester Heights overlooking Boston Harbor. But these are all themes of the trickster archetype. To use cleverness and covert actions that rather than attempt to battle a more powerful adversary on its own terms. And during January of 1778, Pluto was in Capricorn, dismantling power structures that had outgrown their usefulness, which was the last time it was in Capricorn until 2008, where it remains today. So clearly what we're looking at are cycles within cycles. The players have changed roles, but the themes of a decaying empire collapsing under its own weight, and employing tactics, and individuals employing tactics of cleverness over direct confrontation, the oppressive power of fascist governments, economic decline increasing the chasm between the elite and the struggling throngs, and the growing compassion for those left without a voice are fabric of those times and also fabric of our times. And if you look at the house of your astrological chart that contains 1 degree to 17 degrees Aquarius, you could find the theme of where you will experience revisions, reviews, rethinking of the characteristics represented by that house. For me, this is going to be in the 9th house of long-distance travel, higher education. So I expect this cycle will provide new information about potential learning and teaching experiences with the possibility of travel to do so. No matter where Mercury is retrograde in your chart, this is often leads to changing choices, goals, and directions. It may look like these themes of completion are through intellectual review of the past, particularly related to communications about topics like social consciousness, social justice, impartiality, freedom, individuality, and innovation when Mercury moves through Aquarius, where it's exalted. And all of the Mercury retrogrades of 2015 will be in air signs of Aquarius, Gemini, and then finally in Libra. As we begin January, Mercury slows down as it begins to turn retrograde at 17 degrees Aquarius on the 21st. And when a planet slows down from our perspective here on Earth, the planet is considered to be at its peak of its power. And Mercury is at the peak of its power. Reminds me that the Greek god Hermes, who the Romans renamed Mercury, was also the trickster god, much like the monkey is to the Mayans. So he's the messenger of the gods, and if you weren't on his good side, you might not get the message, or it might be altered to mean something different than it was intended. In mythology, the trickster is a god, goddess, woman, man, animal, or spirit that creates mischief by playing tricks outside the accepted rules of the community. And I do want to share this Joseph Campbell quote. almost all non-literate mythology has a trickster hero of some kind. There's a special property in the trickster. He always breaks in, just as the unconscious does, to trip up the rational situation. He's both the fool and someone who's beyond the system. The trickster represents all the possibilities of life that your mind hasn't decided it wants to deal with. The mind structures a lifestyle, and the fool or trickster represents another whole range of possibilities. He doesn't respect the values that you've set up for yourself and smashes them. The fool is the breakthrough of the absolute into the field of controlled social orders. And this is a great description of Mercury retrograde, and it also contains a formula for confronting a more powerful foe by being cunning and over fighting on their terms. And it's interesting to me that the Mercury is turning retrograde during the monkey trecena of the Mayan Zolkin calendar, because the monkey also represents the trickster to the Maya. In the Mayan Popol Vuh, the hero twins who are mistreated by their half-brothers trick their brothers to climbing a tree where they're transformed into monkeys, and that's how the monkey day sign became connected with the trickster archetype. So let's look at the daily vibrational energy of this Trecena. And this chart is actually set with the sun in Aquarius, which will arrive on the 20th. But in fact, at the beginning of this report, the sun is in Capricorn. So if you can imagine this handle being the Earth and the pointer being line of sight, the Earth is really more about here in its orbit, with the sun being in Capricorn during the beginning part of the report period. But this is challenging for me to change this chart halfway through the report. So I hope you'll forgive this inconvenience. So let's start. We've got January 11th. This one Chuen, or monkey, unity experienced through creating something new in the Mayan Zolkin calendar. And I'm not covering the daily lunar activity in these reports other than new and full moons. But that information is available on the New World Birth Daily Facebook post and the blogger New World Birth blog. On the 12th, we have two ebb or road duality experience through serving the community. And at this point, Mars enters into Pisces. Mars and Pisces, it's kind of a difficult placement for Mars as aggressive and forceful, energetic in the sign of the compassionate fishes. And I'd expect for the next 6 weeks that people are going to be more confused in using their assertiveness, and perhaps even display more passive-aggressive behavior. And then January 13th is 3 Ben, which is reed or corn in the Mayan Zolkin calendar. It's about taking action through maintaining the home. And at this point, Venus is in a sextile to Uranus. So from our perspective here on Earth, Venus is forming a 60-degree angle, which is a day for people will seek excitement outside of their daily routine. It stimulates new interaction with people who can fascinate us, but be aware that romance begun under this transit is not likely to be long-lasting, even though this is a time where it seems pleasantly electrifying. It's a great day for a fling with friends or a party. Folks will be more freedom-seeking in their relationship during this transit. That does not favor being clingy, possessive, or jealous. Allow loved ones more leeway and flexibility, and this could greatly broaden your understanding of partners and friends. In doing so, gain new insights into yourself. And then the 14th, we've got 4 Jaguar, or Ish is how it's pronounced. Stability through enjoying nature, with Mercury now in a sextile to Uranus, another 60-degree angle because Mercury is right on the coattails of Venus. This brings new discoveries and new people into our lives with an overall sense of excitement and innovation as Mercury interacts with its higher octave planet, Uranus. Um, Flexibility is helpful to experience this transit with its excitement and interest. And if you find it disruptive, you may want to examine your attitude regarding deviating from a preordained plan for the day. This is good for looking at old problems that have troubled you in the past with fresh eyes. Challenges may be approached as new puzzles to solve as thinking becomes more inspired. It's not a day where you'll be content to just follow your usual routine. So leave room for spontaneity with new ideas, experiences being a reward of uh, going with the flow. And then on January 15th, we have 5 Men or Eagle, which is about empowerment through seeing from a higher perspective. And at this point, Mars is in a square to Saturn. So from our perspective here on Earth, this is a 90-degree angle between these two planets, which is the best approach slowly and with caution. Carelessness under this transit leaves little hope for success. It indicates a very frustrating and potentially irritating day. This transit will be affecting us for a few days before and after the 15th as frustration when we push too hard and are stressed with not enough time to get everything done or act aggressively. I mean, think about it. Saturn is like stop and Mars is like go, and the square is conflicted. So this might seem discouraging, but it's also temporary. And then on the 16th, we have 6 Keeb or wisdom, being in the flow through being introspective, through introspection, meditation, and forgiveness in the Mayan Zolkin calendar. The 17th is 7 Kaban or earth, reflection through gratitude for Mother Earth. And then on the 18th, in the Mayan Zolkin calendar is 8 Etsnob or flint, balanced through introspection. The January 19th is 9 Kawak or storm, patience experienced through recognizing the gifts of adversity. And at this point, we've got Venus. Oh my goodness! Sorry, Jupiter is here in Leo, and Venus is at a 180-degree angle from our perspective here on the Earth from Jupiter, which would be Venus feeling tension from Jupiter, creating expansion in our personal relationships and growth. It's also very strongly inclined towards excessive indulgence as it indicates a time of pleasure, satisfaction, or joy, but with a tendency to overdo. Folks will feel a desire to buy luxurious items, perhaps without having the means to pay. Venus and Jupiter are about heavy, rich, sweet foods and overeating. So it's really not a great day for a diet. If you can approach the day with discipline, it should be quite enjoyable. Also on the 19th, Mars is conjunct Neptune. So from our perspective here, they're at the same degree of Pisces, which brings more confusion to taking action. Mars is all dressed up with no place to go. As I said before, watch for people acting more passive aggressively or as Mars moves through Pisces, particularly while it's merged with the sign ruler of Neptune. And then on the 20th, it's 10 Ahau or sun, manifestation through honoring the wisdom and memory of our ancestors, where Ahau or sun, the sun enters Aquarius from our perspective here on Earth, which shifts our focus to social consciousness while being true to our individuality to share our inventive ideas with groups and communities. This is future-oriented sign of innovation, which often comes from being unorthodox. And also on the 20th, we have the Aquarius New Moon, which harmonizes with Saturn and merges with the Sun. Aquarius illuminates social justice, impartiality, freedom, individuality, innovation, traditionally ruled by Saturn, with the modern ruler being Uranus. Saturn is the only other heavenly body other than the Sun that's making a major angle to this lunation. This new moon represents wanting to be alone in our thoughts and feelings, with having realistic expectations through being calm and reflective at this time of new beginnings. And new moons bring an opportunity to set an intention for manifestation on the following full moon. This is the third new moon in a row at 0 degrees and change of the sign it inhabits, which it puts even more emphasis on new beginnings. Look at the astrological house of the house in your astrology chart that contains 0 degrees, 9 minutes of Aquarius, to consider what area of your life is being activated by this new moon. For me, this is my 8th house of transformation, death, and rebirth. So I would set an intention related to using this energy to go into greater depths regarding my spiritual path. And then on the 21st, it's 11 Emish, or crocodile, resolution through nurturing new beginnings, with Mercury turning retrograde. So it's actually moved to this inner track. It's gotten way out in front of the Sun. Now it's starting to move back towards the Sun from our perspective here on the Earth at 17 degrees Aquarius. And even folks who don't follow astrology are aware of Mercury retrograde's effect on communication, technology, and travel. This begins a time that shifts our renewal, our review of information related to innovation or social reform, with a focus on Aquarian themes of higher mind, group consciousness, and intuition. And from the 21st until February 11th, again, it's a good time to avoid signing contracts, other legal papers, making any major decisions or purchases, or even taking a new job. But as I said before, if you can't postpone those types of activities, try to at least not do them right around the times when it's changing direction. Basically, once Mercury's moving direct, all that information is going to be much clearer. Mercury retrograde, again, this is providing information and events about a change or a correction in our cosmic course. The 22nd is 12 Eek, or wind, understanding through communications in the Mayan Zolkin calendar. And January 23rd is 13 Akbal, or night, movement to the next stage through contemplating the stars. And at this point, the Sun sextiles Saturn. So from our perspective here on Earth, this is a 60-degree angle, which is a great day for getting things done. It brings an orderly state of mind and a strong sense of self-discipline. This is practical energy, which is not interested in idealistic or abstract considerations that have no application in daily life. This favors all matters related to work and profession, with what is accomplished being done carefully, with wonderful concentration and attention to detail, which may impress authority figures. Advice from older people is also favored under this transit. It's just not the best day for relaxing, because it can be a little too serious in his frame of mind. So no matter what energies are affecting you during the one monkey trecena, take some time to be in the flow of the planet by being in nature, watching a sunrise or a sunset, communing with the stars, being conscious of the moment through introspection, meditation, or being with someone you really love. Every day we have is a blessing, no matter what the dramas are that beckon to distract us. We're all here just giving the performance of a lifetime on the world stage. Just take some time to observe the play as well as act your part. Remember, you're a spiritual being that's having a human experience. I want to thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of Care and Feeding of a New World Age will be on January 24th for one con or seed or lizard with Venus entering into Pisces and the Leo full moon. You can check us out on Facebook, YouTube, or the Mayan Magics website. There's New World Birth presences in all those places. I encourage you to share this information as video or as text as widely as you choose. And as always, I invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading. And I am providing readings, and I wish to make this service to the greatest amount of folks. So I've created 3 options with 3 levels of compensation. So if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I would love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll need to be able to either call me in Maine, in the USA, or we can connect on Skype to receive your reading. We're also accepting donations to keep these reports freely available. As always, I am blessed that you've taken the time to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste, in Lakesh, and gratitude for you connecting with what's being offered here, and look forward to connecting in a future video or perhaps in a reading. But peace to everybody.